in this choice to forgive or to double down on how right I am about how wrong someone else is, it's in those micro moments that I find myself taking a step toward the woman that I want to become.
There is something so sacred about endings. The way they make you reflect on everything that has brought you to that moment, whether they are heartbreaks or pivots, or just the moments that you finally decide to surrender, but you just didn't post about it. When my good friend Rachel Luna wrote Permission to Offend, the chapter Faith in Action is really the end of the book. And I really believe she wasn't talking about a pretty kind of faith. She was talking about the kind that gets messy and is unfiltered. It is the kind that demands you to walk forward when the ground beneath you still feels uncertain. And that is where today's guest, my good friend, Rachel's good friend, Lindsey Marie, even finds herself now. She is moving out of that in-between space. She has rebuilt her life from the ground up. I know that you've heard me talk about her many times, and she has been a friend of the Redefining Wealth community, and I have been a friend of the Powerhouse Woman community. And to watch her change things up when the ground shook, even down to changing her name. She is no longer who she was, and she's no longer hiding who she's had to become in the healing. She is rediscovering what faith looks like when it's not just about image, but it is about self integrity and self authenticity and just self leadership. So, this conversation isn't just about business or reinvention or building powerhouse communities. It is about what happens when we finally stop trading healing for hiding, and when we stop pretending that we're okay and start putting our faith in motion. Because faith in action is not just a chapter in our good friend Rachel Luna's book. It is a way of life. It is the decision to keep showing up, not as who we were or who people always knew us as, but as who we are becoming in real time. Welcome back to Redefining Wealth. This is the place that you come to every week to learn more about what it means to chase purpose, not money. But understand, the reason we're having this conversation is because I know that wealth is so much more than money and material possessions. We believe in the original definition, which says it's about the condition of well-being and happiness. So if you're wondering, if you're brand new here, you're like, why are they talking about this on a finance podcast? It's because we know that there are other parts of your life that are impacting your finances, even when you're not thinking about it. So that's why I bring these conversations and insights to light to help you dig deep and look at all the other parts of your life that may be impacting what you say you want. So after this week's affirmation of the week, which affectionately I call permission slips in honor of my good friend Rachel Luna and her legacy, the next thing you'll hear will be my conversation with the Lindsey Marie. This week's permission slip is, I give myself permission to let it be good. I release the need to brace for the things that could go wrong, and I open my heart to receive what is already going right. I trust that ease is not a warning, it is actually my soul's reward, and I allow myself to experience joy without any apology. Declare with me today, I give myself permission to let it be good. Welcome to the Redefining Wealth podcast, Lindsey Marie.
Oh, it is so good to be here with you, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be.
Friend, I'm so excited. This has been a long time in the making. The last time we did a podcast episode, you had me in a robe.
Still, the only guest I've ever asked to get undressed and put on a hotel robe with me. That means I love you so much.
No, that means I love you so much because I actually did it. Hey, friend.
Hi.
Oh my gosh, so much has happened since the last time we've had microphones in front of us. Whole new name, whole new attitude. So for the listeners, can you just talk about, first of all, I love Powerhouse Women. I was so sad that I was missing it this year. It was so close to Redefining Wealth Live. We've got to figure that out. I
I
cannot do that again.
know.
But you've built an incredible community of women, really rooted in connection and being their most powerful and authentic selves. Like, when did that start for you? How did that start? Those who know you know a little of the story, but I want to talk about
Mhm.
that because I think it's important to understand that context before we talk about what it's like to have
Mm.
life happen in front of such a large community.
I feel like every time I get to share the story, I think about it through a different lens, and thinking about how much I love your community and everything that you stand for. It really comes down to purpose. I've always known that there was a big purpose for my life, and I didn't know what that meant or how big or what it was supposed to look like. And I've just been on this journey of following where I feel like I'm being led in pursuit of that, which brought me to somewhere I never thought I would be in 2016. I ended up publishing in 2017, but it was writing a book. And that was such an act of faith. I just had so many beliefs about myself, beliefs about whether or not people would listen, that it required me to totally transform everything about who I was in order to complete that. And the miracles and the blessings that I saw on the other side taught me something so important about what it actually looks like to chase purpose. And it's not this clear path ahead of us. It's oftentimes a very foggy, it's like in a horror movie where it's just the thick fog and you feel like you might be walking into a very, very bad scenario, but you just keep taking one step forward. And there's not much more vision than just a few steps ahead. And it was the first time that I really got that lesson, like truly understood it to my core, and kept following the next thing that was laid in front of me. So the book ended up inspiring this little event that was really just meant to celebrate the book launch. The book was called Powerhouse Woman, just one. And then my publisher slash editor, it was a self-published book, but I had some support. And they just said, you should do a book launch event. You should do this to celebrate the launch and get the book out there. And so I thought, well, I'm sure I could figure that out. And the very first Powerhouse Women event, because I didn't know what else to call it other than, well, the book was Powerhouse Woman. Maybe I'll call this Powerhouse Women, was this little couple hours on a Sunday, just meant to really celebrate the message of the book, which was about getting out of your own way, fulfilling your unique purpose, and living a powerful life. Now, I don't know if you look back at your journey at all, Patrice, and remember parts of it where you were talking the talk, but not yet walking the walk. I don't know that you would have a season like that. I definitely did, where I look back at that version of me and I had to be that version of Lindsey in order to become this one. But I was very much regurgitating a lot of the lessons I had learned, but I hadn't lived yet. So now I was in this journey that was having me confront and live a lot of the things that I wanted to share and I wanted to talk about, and thought I had to have it all perfectly curated and figured out before I was worthy of being able to share that. So this community grew the more that I was willing to just share really vulnerably the parts that I was unsure of myself in, and the places where I didn't have it all figured out. And the community that's grown as a result. I mean, this next year in 2026 will be our 10th event. 9 years, 10th event. And it's wild just to look back and see really who I've become in the process. And this is always what I share from stage, and what I love to share when I get a chance to tell the story is, yes, the community and the business and all the things that come along with that are beautiful. And it's not to say that I don't enjoy those and I don't get some validation from the fact that, this beautiful thing exists, all because I had the courage to step forward. But I think people ask the wrong question when they ask, okay, how did you do it? Like, tell us the steps. What I really wish more people would ask is, who did you have to become? Because I think now the perspective I have is that this is what I'm here on this earth to do, is I'm meant to show through the way that I've just really courageously transformed myself over and over and over into the woman that I believe I'm being called to be. And the last couple of years especially have been humbling, but also very transformative in what it's shown me about what my true purpose is. And it's not at all what I would have chosen. It's not at all what I thought my life would be about. And also the perspective I have now is, of course it's that. Of course, it's just really rooted in how to transform yourself, even in the most difficult of circumstances, how to really find the possibility for transformation within that. And it almost takes away the fear of anything that we could be afraid of facing or going through, because I've learned my strength in the midst of the struggle. I wouldn't have known this strength if it hadn't been through just some circumstances that over the last 9 years have just really brought me to my knees.
Friend, I'm taking notes. I'm like, strength in the midst of the struggle. Yes, yes, yes. Like, even for me, from the outside looking in, when I first really connected with you, I think you invited me to come to Powerhouse Woman. I think Rachel, we may have flown
Yeah,
together.
you did.
Yep,
2021.
2021, Rachel and I flew together to Powerhouse Women. Actually, I have that photo of us on the plane. We were roommates for one night, and I was like, girl, never again will I be your roommate. So funny. And I remember both of us really just being in awe of what you had already created up until that point. And then I came another year and spoke another year, and it was amazing. And then I came another year, and every time I've seen it, it has just gotten exponentially bigger and bigger and bigger. Maybe the one I came to was like 300 women back then, 2021. What was it this past year?
You were with us in 2024. We had 800 women, and
Mhm.
that was the biggest event we've ever had to date. That'll tie into some of the things I know we want to talk about, because that was powerful for me in the midst of the year that took place in, that this overflow happened when I, for very valid reasons, did not show my face on social media. So the founder, the creator, I am the team. I have one other employee. Like, there's not other people running this ship behind the scenes. And
Mhm.
I had some things happen in my personal life. I know we'll get into that. I couldn't show up from about March until August when the event took place. And we grew about 40% year over year from 2023, the previous year, to 2024. And it was one of those times where I was like, I think I needed this to happen specifically in this way, to show me, to break this addiction that I had to thinking that my success had to come on the back of very hard work. Now, you and I are women who are not afraid of hard work. It's not to
Mhm.
say that we believe that we can just sit idly, but there was like an actual identity root in this belief that my results had to look like hard work in order for me to deserve them. That's different than being willing to do the work that is required. And I didn't see that until I was really forced to slow down and pull back almost completely for about 6 months in a season where my business really needed me to show up, or so my identity and my ego thought.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to get to, was essentially that, because here I am watching you grow this platform bigger and bigger, and I wanted to get to the fact that it was growing, but you were personally doing less because of what you had going on personally. So let's dive in, because we always say I'm just a couple years ahead. This was your dream a new dream. This was your dream a new dream season.
Yeah.
And going into Powerhouse Women 2024, when you kind of disappear from social media and all those things, why did you disappear?
2024, it was on the heels of my 40th birthday. And I share that only to share that I remember so clearly sitting with you in a similar season when you were contemplating some very big life changes. And I've thought back to that so many times. I've shared with you so many times, but to publicly acknowledge, I think this is why it's important as women to share our stories, because I've quoted you so many times in this season where I said I never expected talking about divorce to be my ministry, specifically divorce and infidelity and some of these other aspects that were a part of my story. And here we are. I say, my friend Patrice Washington says all the time, never did I think this was going to be my ministry, but here I am. And I can see I wouldn't have chosen the way that everything unfolded, but I also wouldn't trade who I became on the other side. So I had just turned 40 at the end of 2023. 2024 starts, and I had said my word of the year was surprise me. And I laugh at that now, and I'll share the surprises that unfolded, but I say it with lightness because I still wouldn't go back and change that I said surprise me, because what I could feel inside was that there were some things that just deeply were ready to change. And I didn't think I could see clearly what needed to change, but I think the truth is that I wasn't quite ready and I didn't have the courage yet to make some of the changes that needed to be made. So I needed supernatural support. And that's what surprised me. What that prayer was really rooted in is, I don't think I can see exactly what needs to shift here. Jesus, take the wheel, kind of a prayer. And 2024 ended up becoming this masterclass in loss and grief, starting with I lost my little soulmate pet, my first pet I'd ever had and owned of 13 years, which really just kind of cracked open this deeper ability to feel both love and loss. I'm so lucky that I haven't had a lot of human loss in my life up until this point. So it just was a new experience. And then I was in a season where there was a transition within my business partnership, who is someone who's still a very good friend to this day, but that was very hard for both of us, deciding to go separate ways. And in the same week as that was ending, I discovered infidelity in my marriage of 13 years and started to navigate this question of, okay, what do I do with all of this? And what I remember feeling, and to tie this into Rachel's book and what you were just sharing about faith in action, I don't think I needed faith to this depth until I was faced with all of this loss. Because faith to me in that moment was, can I still believe that there is good here, even when it looks like the opposite of good? It just, there's so much here that I could feel victim to. There's so much here that I could feel is unfair. And I just sat with all these complex emotions and really chose to lean in and feel them all. Now, that was a new choice for me, because what my previous identity would have preferred to do would have been to throw myself into work, to be this powerhouse woman and create this huge success story. Like, I'm going to show you, you lost the best. I could have just had a different energy to it. And instead I was like, no, I am just going to allow myself to feel all of this and to really embrace the invitation. I could just tell on a spiritual level that this was an initiation and an invitation that, looking back, I realized by praying the prayer, surprise me, show me the way. This was the way. It wasn't ever what I would have chosen. So, here I find myself, this was all starting to unravel about April of 2024. And I pulled everything back. I kept my podcast going. I batched some content ahead of time, but I gave myself space to truly go away. No one really knew, unless you were paying attention to the fact that I wasn't showing up on my personal Instagram. I don't think people really knew what was going on, but I completely went away and just allowed myself to come undone. I didn't know that I could actually feel that depth of sadness and grief and loss. I wondered if I would come out of it, quite honestly. But the one thing that kept me going was knowing that if I could not show up for this event in August, I had you, I had our girlfriend, Lori Harder. I had so many women that I could have been like, I can't do it. Someone else needs to step up there and lead this day and this event. And I knew that the community would have been taken care of. And luckily that isn't what happened. I was able to show up and it actually felt really healing to do so. But, I showed up in front of these 800 women. And so sharing all of that to say, that it goes to show a couple of things. Number one, of course, and you know this from your own experience, you grow this community over time, and eventually the community becomes such a big part of what has growth exist in the physical sense. So yes, the event grew I think in large part because of the way the community has really rallied around it, and the speakers and everything else that was already in motion. But it did take that season for me to step back and see that I could take care of myself. I could prioritize what I needed. And in that season, it was healing. And I could surrender the results and let them be whatever they were going to be. It's beautiful that there was growth, but I would have been just as happy had there not been growth. The growth, I think, just showed me that it doesn't have to always be tied directly to my hard work and effort in the way I thought. But
Mhm.
I remember just like deeply surrendering the outcome and just knowing that if I was just obedient to doing the event, it would be whatever it was meant to be. So there's so much in that I feel like I wish people really knew
Yeah.
about what that season looked like, but it was powerful, and it was also the most difficult thing I've ever walked through.
Yeah. And I remember, we've had so many conversations throughout the years, and I remember having conversations with you about margin, about space, about like, and so your soul is like, you don't have to push, you don't have to force, you don't have to strive, you don't have to this. But when your identity and ego has been addicted to achievement, the more I do, the more I get. So all I know is make it happen. Therefore, I don't really have time for feelings. I really don't have time for healing. When you're saying healing, are you saying take a quick vacation? Or are you saying
Like a
like,
yoga class.
like what are we saying? What,
Yeah.
all these little surface level ideas we have of self-care and taking time off. But when you go through something like this, it literally begs of you to take a step back and feel your feelings and like really heal and deal with what you're experiencing. And I love that you didn't run from it. I love that you took your time away and went to the places you went to have that time to just go through your emotions. But that is so hard for people who are addicted to achievement. That is very hard for people who are running a public brand and platform where your name and face is synonymous with the brand and what the brand is doing. There's no like, we don't have a face connected to, a lot of brands. We don't know if the founder is going through anything. We don't know if they've experienced any loss. But with folks like us, if you disappear, luckily you did have, or not, I wouldn't say luckily, but you do have that brand, right? That is really powerful, especially where you are in Arizona. But it is a big deal to make the decision to say, I'm going to take care of me first and surrender, and knowing that I'm not giving up, I'm releasing the control I think I have over all the things and just taking care of me. That is such a big thing to do as a public figure. Let me ask you, how do you know which part of your life is actually keeping you from the results you say you want? Most people guess, and then they wonder why they're still stuck. But that's why I created the Pillar Progress Assessment. It helps you identify which of the 6 pillars of wealth need your attention right now, so you can stop spinning your wheels and finally move forward in alignment. I also go deeply into the building blocks that build that pillar, so you know exactly what your next steps should be. Take the assessment now at patricewashington.com/pillar assessment. That's patricewashington.com/pillar assessment, or click the link in the show notes and get your next steps to greater authenticity, alignment, and abundance in order.
I thought about so many of the things that you've shared over the years too during this time, because I think what had me surrender to it was knowing that it would catch up with me somewhere down the line. That by avoiding it wasn't avoiding it altogether. It would either show up in my health, it would show up in my next relationship. If I didn't heal from it, it would show up in other places. So I just made the conscious choice to face it all at once, if I could, not rushing the process. I didn't have any expectation. I actually really have had to learn patience in the healing process more than anything, because I thought I would feel more like myself, whatever that means, a lot faster. And it's taken time. It's been almost 2 years now, 18 months or so. But I just remember being like, I can run from this. That is an option. And maybe I need to disassociate, or maybe I need to go get a little dopamine hit, But then I was like, but is that really going to solve anything? Would I rather just really go through it all now and be free on the other side? Like actually have emotional freedom. And that's, I think, the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that I knew it's not like that was the comfortable choice, but I knew that long term it would be the best choice, because it catches up with you somewhere else. If you hold on to that resentment and anger, you don't process grief. I was sharing with you before we started recording, there's just so much that I can see about my previous life where I just didn't want, part of the achievement wasn't just so much that I got the validation from it. I did, but it was numbing the things I didn't want to look at in my life. So I already knew I had, built up all this evidence that here's what happens when you don't look at what is asking to be looked at. And so for anyone else who just needed to hear that part, yes, it sounds like the hardest thing in the world to slow down and just confront what's asking you to sit with it. But if you don't do it now, it's not like it goes away. It's like trying to move forward in your life or your business with ankle weights strapped on. And then eventually the weight just piles on to the point where it will come for you at some point. So why not deal with it when it's a 5-pound ankle weight instead of like 50?
Yeah.
You can't move.
Well, I also think that when you are in this process of knowing that it is time to rebuild, because as we say, the boulder has come. So we've ignored the pebbles, we've turned a blind eye to the rocks. And so now we say, surprise me. For you, it was surprise me. For me, in August of the year 2021, I literally put a post out there and I was like, does anyone else feel like there's a big change in the atmosphere? I feel such an excitement. God is about to blow my mind. That's what my post said. August 1st, 2021. You can go find it on my Instagram. I'm like, I just feel such an energy, like God is about to blow my mind. And I just want to put this here as confirmation. November separated.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to blow your mind. I'm going to blow your spot up. I'm going to blow up you, like avoiding what is actually happening. I'm going to actually blow up how you've been romanticizing life and just like using purpose and business and the programs and how speaking and TV and all these things to not be radically honest about what you're actually seeing, sensing, and experiencing.
Exactly.
So you want to talk about surprise me? Wow me,
Surprise.
God. Yeah, surprise, ding, like here we go, right? And what I had to learn in the rebuilding is I actually didn't want to rebuild anything in the way I had been running it before. I realized, like, as I went through my separation and then, into my divorce, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I never really liked doing this much stuff. Like, I love what I do. I love my clients, but it's not that I didn't like what I was doing. I didn't even like how I was doing it anymore. But just like my marriage, I was on autopilot. And because I was trying to avoid pebbles and rocks, it gave me something to do other than to sit with how I was actually experiencing partnership in that season.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have to give myself permission to go through this process, to heal, to feel, to deal with everything, all the emotions, all the ups and downs, all the roller coaster of it. Because when I move forward, I don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
I don't want how I interact with my community, with my clients to feel this way again. It started to make me just get radically honest about all the places where I was like at the pebble, at the rock. And I'm like, while also looking at how I will redefine love, I'm also going to look at how I redefine joy, how I redefine community for my community, how I redefine who I am as a coach, how I redefine who I am as a mother. I just took it as an opportunity, like, listen, I know I was like, oh, God's going to blow my mind and blow up my spot. Yeah, I didn't see that it would be all of that. But looking back, Lynn, best thing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have chosen it consciously. I just wouldn't have chosen it. But not in that way, not the way that everything unraveled and went down. But now I'm 4 years on the other side, just a few years ahead. And I'm like, best thing that could have happened to me, or I would have spent my life in a very pretty prison.
Mm-hmm. And that's it. I never want this to come across as pro divorce, and
No, not at all.
nor does your story come across that way
Mm-mm.
at all. What divorce did is and even the infidelity is it was an invitation for me to look at me, because a relationship doesn't get to that point without some participation from me or lack of participation from me in the things that are easy to step over, but ultimately, just like I said with healing, they catch up if you avoid them. So having the harder conversations, being really honest about what I want, looking at where I would prioritize other people's needs over my own, but then be mad at them when I chose that. So, the healing has been, yes, to acknowledge the grief, to process the anger, the hurt, I am not taking any resentment into my next chapter. I don't want to age faster. I think resentment just like starts to even make you look old. I mean, look at this beautiful face.
I know,
right?
when people are like, you look good, you look like you're glow, baby, because I forgive and drink water.
Yes. Yes.
Forgive, drink water, and start to be radically honest as you move
That.
forward.
Yeah. And I actually did not see. I was so blind to my own delusion of where I wasn't honest with myself or with anyone in my life. And then I just felt like such a victim that they weren't meeting my needs, or that my life didn't look how I wanted. It just took such radical honesty. The healing process is not pretty. I've had to look at some parts of myself that I just did not want to look at. But that is where the freedom on the other side has been found. And it's still a process. There's still
Oh,
layers to
yeah.
it, but there've been all of these moments where I just realized that in this choice to forgive or to double down on how right I am about how wrong someone else is, it's in those micro moments that I find myself taking a step toward the woman that I want to become. And what's hard about it is that you can't bypass it. You can't just say you forgive and then you're carrying that, and like that'll come back up to the surface at some point, and then you get to be with it again. And over again, I just keep finding more love for myself the more I'm willing to let these layers come off. That I was saying to you before we started, I'm in this place now where I've healed to a level that life is really starting to reward me. I feel like I'm being rewarded for the love that I can now embody. I can hold deeper love for myself and others because I can hold the depth of that loss. And I didn't know how much that was tied. It's like we don't just get to expand and only experience the higher highs. We expand in both directions when we're able to hold the depths of the harder emotions, when we're willing to meet ourselves in the things we don't want to look at. It actually expands us to be able to hold more of the higher emotions that we want. And as I've done that, now I'm in a season where I realize it's equally difficult for me to just let things be good. I can also see myself in this pattern of wanting to continue healing. And I was telling Patrice that this morning I woke up and the first thing I wrote in my journal, this little like zing that hit me, that was just like a slap in the face. I just wrote down, are you healing or are you hiding? Because I've been healing and I keep trying to find more things to heal. I mean, I have 2 sessions with 2 different people today trying to heal more stuff. And it's like, and now, my business feels lighter. I have new love in my life. And all those things are great, but I keep looking for more things to heal because it's still tied to that. The same thing I saw about myself was it's hard for me to just rest in things being good, for me to allow them to be good. I think there's this deeper fear that it means something about me if I earned it. So I keep trying to earn the goodness by healing more. And so that's the lesson that I'm in right now. And I'm coming to you live from the middle of this lesson. I'm still learning it. I'm still catching myself in the moments where I want to try to earn the
Mhm.
thing that is right there for me to just enjoy. Like
Oh,
there's a version, my life right now is just asking me to enjoy it. And that is one of the hardest things for me to just settle into, I'm realizing.
yeah. I mean, I think that happens to a lot of powerful people, powerful women in particular, when you, again, have been kind of addicted to achievement and this idea, not just achievement, but also performance. And now you're being called to just operate from ease and anointing. And it's like, wait, that should be harder. I should be
Mm.
doing more things. Let me add complexity. Let me go do the most. And then it's not just professionally, we bring that into our personal lives. You know, I did this live in the Redefining Wealth app last week, and I was like, why do we choose drudgery when joy is available?
Hmm.
Like, we choose drudgery. We choose, let me add layers, let me add complication, let me, because now it'll be worth it. Because we've heard, well, nothing worth having, right, doesn't require a fight. You got to fight. And, you know, we do this thing all my life. I had to fight from The Color Purple.
Mhm,
We start to wear that fight like a badge of honor. Like, now
mhm,
I am worthy of rest. Now I am worthy of the type of love I desire. Now I am worthy
mhm,
of joy because now I've done this and this and this and this. And as we were talking before, I was like, God has been showing me more and more that literally when I'm just obedient, and for me, things come in dreams or visions. He's like, just do what I showed you. That's
What
how
did
he
you say?
does it.
I don't need all the razzle dazzle, the
Yeah, I
razzle
mean,
or the
yeah,
dazzle?
I was like, I don't even need all your razzle dazzle. You can put your razzle down and your dazzle down. Just be obedient and do what I say. And as I've
Mhm,
continued to walk in that, my business, my life has felt so much lighter and
mhm,
lovelier. And just there's more ease and there's more grace and there's more peace. However, it is a consistent choice to be that way because for
mhm,
44 years, I have lived under all my life. I had to fight, you know, like for
mhm.
not 44, but a good bit of it. I've lived under this idea that I need to do all the things. And even as you were speaking earlier, Lynn, what came up for me is that your power as a powerhouse woman looks different in this season.
Yeah,
It's a different type of power to be able to, as you said, go to the depths of some of the things you've experienced and sit with it.
yeah.
That takes a lot of power. It is not for the faint of heart. It is not for the weak. To give yourself permission to double numbers, grow by 40%, go higher than you've ever gone in the midst of one of the most challenging seasons, and you not shrink or contract
Mm,
and like step up to the plate for that, a different type of power.
yeah,
Um, Power just looks so different in this season. And I love that whole just let it be good.
yeah.
Let it be good. Oh, before I forget, I'm going to send you a link to, well, now I'm going to send it to everybody. It'll be in the show notes. A link to this song that I like by Tony Jones.
I
You,
love her.
oh
Oh,
gosh. I know for the Redefining Wealth Live you were at, we had Londrell, but the year
I know.
before
I
we
was
had
so
Tony
jealous that I
Jones.
wasn't there. I know, I
But
know.
one of her songs, she talks about healing is not my purpose.
Yes, I love
Healing
that
is
one.
not my purpose. I will not sit up here and become addicted to healing because I'm trying to move past my addiction to achievement or for any of these other
Mhm,
things.
mhm.
And that's what I heard you basically saying is like
Yeah.
healing is not the end all be all. That's what I feel like that little download you had just this
Yeah,
morning came to
yeah,
remind you.
yeah.
I firmly believe that your business and career pursuits will only grow to the extent you're willing to clear the clutter and heal in the 6 pillars of wealth we talk about on this podcast. You might not actually need another business program or professional certification. What you might really need is personal transformation so you can trust yourself and your soul to do what you've already learned confidently. The doors to my 12-week transformational incubator, Pillar Mastery, are open, and I believe it is the doorway to living the rest of your life intentionally and authentically. This intimate, safe, and aligned space was designed to help you dream a new dream by elevating your mindset and actions so you can handle the transition you're in right now with more ease, grace, peace, and clarity. Let me personally support you in getting radically honest about what's going on in those pillars of your life, and then the conviction to tackle them strategically. To claim your seat in this life-shifting coaching experience, head to pillarmastery.com, and together, let's step into a powerful new way of being so you can finally redefine wealth for yourself. Go to pillarmastery.com.
The realization that the healing was really more of a remembering. It was coming back to my true worthiness and purpose and the things that I am here to do, that I've known for as long as I can remember. And that when healing now becomes the thing that I'm doing to avoid the visibility, to avoid showing up in the way I feel called to show up, it's no longer the tool that it once was. It's a tool when it's being used to help me reconnect with and remember who I am at my core, my authentic worthiness. I'm worthy just for being who I am, for the fact that I have breath in my lungs, and I don't have to go and earn that. And then catching myself, I don't do it through achievement in the same way anymore, but I had turned, and I can easily turn healing into the next thing that I'm getting that getting that validation, or trying to get the validation of my worthiness from. And so I hope that even just speaking to that can bring some lightness for you when you catch yourself in these moments where the pattern, it's not like it ever really goes away. I think a lot of these patterns that we work on are with us. They're so ingrained in who we are. Like the same thing that makes me really successful, this achiever nature and this belief in myself and belief that I'm here for a purpose, can also become my crutch or my Achilles heel. So I just kind of have to like notice where this is kind of where faith in action comes in as well, because it's the constant reliance. Like yes, I'm remembering my wholeness, but I'm also here in this human experience. Like there's so much that I don't know. I'm living in constant dependence on faith. Faith is a bigger part of my life now than it ever has been. And I think just surrendering the fact that I don't need to know, I never did know, all the things that I was doing to try and control and feel safe weren't actually keeping me safe anyway. So why don't I just try it another way? Why don't I just try the original design without the razzle dazzle? You know, what a thought.
When you even say wasn't keeping you safe, can you just expound upon that? Because I think someone needs to hear what it looks like to have the appearance of safety, but still not actually be safe.
Yeah. I think this is one of the biggest things I've learned in the healing part of my journey. So through therapy and looking at some of these deeper layers, is a lot of the patterns, even the achievement, was in an effort to feel safe. I felt, and this is a lot stemming from childhood, I felt that my safety was secured when I would achieve things. That's when I was recognized. That's when I felt seen. Or maybe for you, it's more of the people pleasing. Like I always am clear to correct people when they'll use these terms as labels, like I am a people pleaser. No one is a people pleaser. We have people pleasing coping mechanisms that at some point early in life, we learned that if we keep other people happy, if we keep them calm, or if we change and modify ourselves so that they aren't flustered or it doesn't provoke anger, that then we're safe. And for a lot of us, that was real. That was a very real safety mechanism at a point in life where we needed that coping strategy. We just don't need it in the same way as adults. And to then look back and realize even my people-pleasing tendencies were an attempt to control how people perceived me. Like it was all in this attempt, like if I just craft my life in this specific way, then I will feel safe.
Ooh.
And none of it was actually keeping me safe. There was something beautiful about, this relationship that was the closest, most intimate relationship in my life, the person I thought I knew most in the world, to be, really quite blindsided by what happened. And the freedom that gave me to realize how much I thought if I could just control his happiness, if I could just make myself a little bit smaller so that, my perception of like, would he be happier if I just wasn't as much, all of it I thought was keeping me safe from someone leaving me.
Mhm.
And I realized, oh my gosh, we all have free will. None of that was ever keeping me safe. Meaning, like, it was the biggest freedom I've ever experienced, because I was like, I tried all of that in an attempt to avoid what happened.
Mhm.
And I think it needed to happen to show me it was never keeping me safe. So why don't I live the rest of my life being and working every day to connect with the most authentic version of me? And
Yes.
learning to, now I've had to relearn how to feel safe when someone is triggered, how to feel safe when I unintentionally hurt someone's feel. Like, there's a whole new, I've had to learn a whole new way of operating, and where my safety actually comes from, because we need to understand how to cultivate safety in our gifts. We need to
Mhm.
learn how to cultivate safety in being our authentic selves. And I think I'm so grateful I learned this at 41 now, because I think a lot of us probably don't, a lot of people probably don't learn this until much older. Like, you and I still have so much time left to be able to now live out these authentic gifts and share this message
Mhm.
with others. I just think that a lot of people are waking up right now. Like, the world needs our authentic gifts, our authentic way of expressing ourselves.
Mhm.
And you may not have to go through what I went through in order to learn that lesson,
Yeah.
but I think it's realizing that there's such a bigger purpose behind it all. And so learning how to feel safe in this new way of operating is now my number one goal, because
Yeah.
I want to be able to share that version of me.
Oh, it's so beautiful. I mean, and that's the thing that gives you the freedom to be radically honest with yourself and others, is because you realize the safety is cultivated from within. Like, it
Mhm.
is you. My coach typically says, I take my safety with me. Like,
Mm.
we're always like, oh, I create safe spaces. She's like, I don't care what kind of space you create. I'm safe wherever I go because I take my
Yeah.
safety with me. And I
Yeah.
remember she first taught me that like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I was like, I really,
Yeah.
really love that, because as long as I know that I am safe with me and I can trust me with me, I can trust me to
Mhm.
choose a new partner, I can trust me to travel, I can trust me to do any of the things that my soul desires, I'm good.
Yeah. And
I'm always good.
that's also the part that I realized is I had lost so much trust in myself over years of
Mhm.
not listening to my intuition, not prioritizing myself, wanting someone else to read my mind, or, whatever that looked like. The restoration process has been a trust building process. That's what I realized. That's where self-love lies, is it's in those small actions of building self-trust, saying
Mm.
you're going to do something and doing it, keeping your word to yourself, making promises that are meaningful and keeping them. And there's just so much, there was so much in that journey that I realized that everything you're saying, the safety really is found in me and in my knowing that it's also a beautiful place to be dating from, to not be putting my safety or my validation or my worthiness in the hands of anyone else.
Ooh,
It's just
girl.
no one else's job. And sometimes I forget that, and sometimes I still notice the old patterns showing up, but you're kind of unmessable with when you ground into the knowledge that everything you're looking for in anything else outside of you exists within you. It's just typically the last place that we look for it.
Oh, that is so good. And yes, dating from this side is so much better. And I realized, had I had this level of awareness 20 plus years ago, I would have chosen differently. But
Mhm.
that is the beauty of life. We're here to learn and to grow and to uncover and unlearn and learn and peel back layers. And I wouldn't trade anything. The tattoo on my back says one life, no regrets. I
Mm.
have no regrets. I'm just so grateful. And as you were saying that, I just told one of my good friends, Carly, the other day, I'm like, I'm so grateful that we get to learn these lessons and have this level of healing now, because as Dr. Tamar Bryan says, our mothers and our grandmothers didn't have the luxury of this type of healing.
Mhm. Mhm.
And many of them have gone on or have aged and never had a chance to be radically honest about their needs, their wants, their desires. They've never given themselves permission to feel, to
Yeah.
heal, to deal. They've never necessarily had the language that we get to enjoy today. It is a blessing
Yeah.
to get to do this work. And it's not to weaponize it against former versions of ourselves or even the women who came before us. We get to
Exactly.
just sit with, wow, I get to let this be good. I get
Mhm.
to heal and give myself permission to come out of hiding. Like
Yeah.
I get to dream a new dream.
Yeah. So well said.
It's beautiful. It's
Mm.
beautiful. I'm happy for you, friend.
Thanks.
I'm happy for new love. And I'm happy that because of the work that you're doing and the safety that you're cultivating within yourself, whether it be this love or the next, that knowing that you can trust yourself,
Yeah.
you can trust yourself to move about the cabin freely. That's what I like to call
Mm.
it.
And, even hearing you reflect that back, I'm like, no, the new love that I've found really is the love within myself. And like you could say this and I would hear this and probably even give it a little heart on Instagram, that everything that shows up within that actual connection to the love for yourself is just a reflection of that. Like you don't actually attract the same people when you're grounded in that love, or they don't stay around very long at all.
They don't.
So it's like, oh, again, I was looking for all of this outside of me. It all existed inside. And the more I've worked on that journey and just allowed that to be good, I can find that it can be this never ending. I want to connect with more love for myself. Like, no, let me just enjoy and savor the love I feel for myself right now and the way that it's reflecting in, everything that's showing up around me. It's beautiful. And it's been hard earned. It really has. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. But like we said, I would never have chosen this path to get here. So anyone
Yeah.
who's at the beginning of a path that feels like the energy of what we've been talking about, I just want you to anchor this in, that there is healing. There's so much for you on the other side. If you are willing to meet it, to really meet yourself in these tougher emotions, there's so much joy on the other side.
So much joy. So much joy.
Mm.
Oh, I'm so happy we had a chance to have this conversation. And
Yeah.
again, just thinking about Rachel, there's so many moments where actually it was me, you, and Rachel, like running
Yeah.
into each other or having
Yeah.
different conversations and all those things. And so I think it's very appropriate that I get to close this season out honoring Rachel with you being my last interview.
And such a beautiful way to honor someone whose spirit and her love lives on so far beyond her physical body. I'm just so honored to be a part of this, and thank you for doing it.
Absolutely. I love you, friend. Thank you for being
Oh, I
here.
love you
How
too.
can everyone stay connected with you?
Yeah, so the name did change
I,
after all of this,
there was
and
a name
you know,
change.
it was this beautiful decision just to go with my first and middle name. Legally, I took back my maiden name, but it just feels like this is the part that's not defined by it being someone's wife or someone's daughter. It's just my first name, Lindsey, my middle name's Marie. So Instagram is just Lindsey Marie official, and then powerhouse_women, and everything you could possibly want to know is linked from there.
I love it. And I told you I love Marie because that's my mom's name. So I
Yes,
was like, oh, I love, love, love.
we love that.
Okay, well, we'll make sure that we link to everything in the site and all those good things. Thank you for being here, friend. I love you
Love
so
you.
much. I appreciate you.
So grateful.
Oh, you guys, was that not so good? Let it be good. So, from writing her first book, which was such a big act of faith, but then going into this next chapter of her life, which is really the biggest act of faith yet, I think. I'm so grateful for Lindsey's example, for her ability to find the safety within herself, to recognize that, yes, I'm in the healing journey, but that doesn't mean that I get permission to continue to hide out. When you need to rebuild from the ground up and you have to learn what that means and what that looks like for you and discover so many parts of yourself, from trusting your voice to your truth to your timing, faith is what is needed to walk that out. Faith in action isn't just about the bold steps that we take. It's also about the quiet ones that no one sees while you're in that season of maybe hiding out. It's the quiet things that you do when you're really just with yourself and with God. It is the moments that we choose to believe that even after loss or love or betrayal or excitement, whatever those things are, purpose can still find us right where we are. And maybe that's what this season has been about all along. Not fixing, not proving, not striving, but just allowing the healing to take place, allowing the softness, allowing the stillness, allowing the surrender. And as Lindsey says, finally allowing ourselves to let it be good. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I know I absolutely enjoyed it. Everything dealing with Lindsey and Powerhouse Women is absolutely incredible. She is hands down one of my favorite people in the personal development world and space. And I'm so grateful that I had an opportunity to share my good friend, Lindsey Marie, with all of you. If this episode has been a blessing to you, please rate and review and come into the Redefining Wealth app. In this season, I am still going live every single day to continue to pour into my community. And these are the conversations we have. Sometimes, it's about purpose and vision and love. And sometimes it's about the difficult work of actually healing from that addiction to achievement or from anything else that you might be experiencing. But whatever we talk about, it's all love, and it is all in service of you being able to redefine wealth for yourself and really go after that ignited, aligned vision that God has put on your heart. Life is gonna life, but we can do this together. So until next time, I want you to go live your life's purpose, find fulfillment, and earn more without ever chasing money. Next week will be the last episode of this season of Redefining Wealth, and I do hope that you'll join me there. Talk to you later.